Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was created in the Nuclear Revenge subreddit by a user named Jeep Hammer in the beginning of 2024. The post is titled, "Have an affair on my friend. Nope." A childhood friend who was the most empathetic and kind guy I've ever known did a hitch in the Navy, went into computers, played guitar in a band, and married a pretty mean girl. She liked the idea of a big wedding and a musician husband, but had no interest in marriage. She was her family's golden child, drop-dead gorgeous, and completely narcissistic and spoiled. They bought land. He borrowed money and had his family build their house to reduce costs, paying them back over time while she spent money and socialized, sometimes working a part-time job. Within 2 years, she was bored and started an affair. Or we think she never stopped having affairs, but got caught. While the empathetic guy tried to work things out, she made false accusations of domestic abuse and filed for divorce, with a restraining order keeping him out of the home he and his family built with their own hands. Keep in mind that he was still paying his family back for the home, still ordered to pay for the land and most of the maintenance. He was back in his childhood bedroom while his wife entertained her men in that house. With some research by the lawyer, the family still technically owned the house. My family owned a heavy equipment business, including house movers. Look up house movers to verify what I said. When she went on vacation with her family and new boyfriend, we went in, jacked up the house, and drove off with it, repossessed. The structure wasn't covered in the court order, just the mortgaged land. She had legal claim to the land. Her name was on the mortgage, but the structure appeared nowhere on the deed, and there was still money owed on most of the materials and labor, so it was simply repossessed. The judge wasn't happy at all, but it wasn't illegal to repossess since the land mortgage was the only thing he was court-ordered to pay. She came home to a foundation, pipes, and wires sticking out of the ground, and a crappy used yard barn with her personal possessions in it. Now, it wouldn't be nuclear if it stopped there. Since the main character has recently passed away, I can tell more. We had a guy we called Big Bob, and the name fits. Everyone probably knows someone who defies jail, death, is a walking demolition crew, and in fact, we called him Demolition Man for a while after the movie. Apparently, someone put huge dildos smeared with dried whipped cream crust in her possessions, which was found when her dad and friends came to get the rest of her possessions out of the yard barn. There were also extreme insertion porn and bestiality magazines, bongs shaped like cocks, etc. Someone used her pictures in the dating magazines, pre-internet, for a paid escort with her phone number. Her parents even had to change their phone numbers a few times. Someone got those change of address cards from the post office and sent her mail around the country. Someone knew exactly when the legal separation happened, and she was supposed to get her own car insurance, but she didn't get that letter. Her car burned down in her workplace parking lot a few days after the legal separation happened, and of course, she didn't get the insurance company notification in the mail, so no insurance. Someone had intimate pictures printed, the man's face blacked out on flyers, pointing out that it wasn't her husband at the time, and stuck them under windshield wipers at her family's church, every place she worked, and all around her neighborhood. The cops got involved in that, but they couldn't find where the flyers were printed. Big Bob was an over-the-road truck driver. Everything died down when she finally agreed to let our friend buy her out on the land for a reasonable sum, paying for it twice, and dropped the restraining order. Less than a week after he had a clear title, the house showed back up right where it was before. Since it was still on the steel used to move it, all we had to do was stick a truck back under it and take it back, hook it up. This was until she decided to marry a guy from a hard-working family that was doing well. She love-bombed the poor, hard-working sap, and he never knew what hit him. She had a bachelorette party with her pretty mean girlfriends at a local recreation lake and rubbed it in that her bachelorette party was going to cost more and be better than her wedding to my friend. I think that's what cued the nuclear revenge. The flyers showed up all over at his bachelor party, at his parents' house with his family, and her bachelorette party got busted for drugs, where they found several people in various stages of undress, including the bride-to-be, and quite a bit of drugs, bunches of alcohol, etc. When that wedding blew up, the wedding dress from the first marriage to our friend showed up on a scarecrow with a pentagram on the front, what looked like blood, paint on it in her front yard. No one even missed the wedding dress from the first wedding until then. Every workplace, every time she dated someone seriously, etc., the flyers showed back up. She finally gained about 50 to 70 pounds and quit trying to date seriously. She looked like her 70-pound overweight mother, but 30 years earlier. She married a fat truck driver eventually. R.I.P. Big Bob, you were one hell of a friend, and we are all going to miss you. We will sing the song of your people and raise a glass to you every time we meet. A user named Peter Horvath said, "Oh, that's wow." Under this comment, OP said the following. We were in diapers together, the geeks/nerds/losers together in school, and most of us did a hitch in the military, so we are vets together. We have helped start and support each other's businesses, and we are all each other's kids' godfathers, etc. Bob had no filters. Short of physical harm to females, there wasn't much off the table for him, and you never got to mess with his little buddy like she did. We are all big workhorse farm/construction boys, and the betrayed husband was the smallest of us, so the big brother instinct kicks in when someone messes with him. Bob was a frigging force of nature. How he never got arrested or died is beyond me, and absolutely no one believes the Big Bob stories unless they were there. My wife didn't until she saw with her own eyes a copperhead snake strike at Bob, and he slapped it. Then the circular snake shoot took place, and you wouldn't believe that 7 or 8 guys stood in a tight circle around a snake and shot it to pieces. The kicker was, it was full of babies that flew all over us. My then girlfriend, now wife, saw that and had the cops on speed dial, but no one died even though we had to pull bullet jackets out of our clothes and slap off baby copperheads. When Bob worked for our family business, we got a 71 in a 55 miles per hour zone, speeding ticketed in a truck with an entire 3-bedroom house on the back. We get together every year and race plastic Barbie cars down a big hill, with alcohol and barbecue involved, and the past few years a live band, etc. About 300 people attended last year. It's on Armed Forces Day, veterans involved, and there was actually an artificial leg bet and lost. The guy had to wait until the next year to win it back. A bet is a bet. They never ask where or what. It might be building or wiring someone's house or garage. It might be sky or scuba diving, and you may need spare socks and bail money, but it's not boring. Back when I first started dating my wife, she said she hadn't flown before, so her first flight was on the Goodyear blimp. We bought a lot of tires back then and got tickets. Between the bunch, we can move about anything. We can build about anything, including finishing concrete. There are computer guys, serious race cars/car weekends. You just never know what's next. We are slowing down now that we are in our 60s. I have a picture of me, Big Bob, and another guy on the top of a moving van. Bob has a ghetto blaster on his shoulder. It was blasting Motley Crue, and we are doing the ZZ Top Shuffle at about 50 miles per hour. Almost got arrested that day. The state police were not amused, but the car show crowd loved it. We don't mess with civilians, play by the rules, and you have nothing to worry about. It's not a good idea to screw with any of us or our families. We take that personally. If you think Big Bob is an exaggeration, I'm 6'5" and he was taller than me. This next story was also made in the Nuclear Revenge subreddit. It was made in 2023 by a user named BigJer2007 and is titled "Ex cheated with her cousin and expected to save face. I think not." For context, it was her cousin-in-law. Let's start this story by saying this happened 12 years ago. I'm now happily married with 3 children and regret absolutely nothing. I was with my now ex for 3 years. I had noticed that she was being extremely controlling. I was expected to give every little detail of my day and tell her my schedule in advance. And if I deviated from that, she would be very upset. She chalked it up to just bad feelings she was having and shrugged it off as her paranoia from past relationships of infidelity. I had never once cheated or strayed, and I never gave her a reason to act like this. It felt unbecoming of my fiance to act in such a way. Now, this is where it gets juicy. After she had asked for my schedule to make plans, as mine tends to be more hectic than hers, I noticed she was texting someone. In my line of work, if I put in more than 40 hours, I have the ability to take time off at will as long as the work is completed at a later date. I was very good friends with her brother and still am. We laugh about this to this day, and he actively reminds her of it. I messaged him stating I wanted to do something special for her a little bit earlier than our anniversary to make sure it was a special surprise. They both worked in the same fabrication facility. He was a fabricator and she a shipping manager. He was kind enough to let me know her schedule. That's where the discrepancy falls into place. Without my knowledge, she was foregoing overtime. She worked 12-hour shifts Monday through Friday, with the exception of Wednesday when she would only work half a day. She had been taking Wednesdays off right around the time that she started getting extremely controlling. Lucky for me, I had stacked several days of leisure time up, so taking a Wednesday off for me was not an issue. A few days go by and Wednesday's here. I put on my work gear and quote-unquote leave for work. I was expecting her to leave as our apartment complex had 2 exits on the same road. I could see directly across from a shopping center, so I parked my car near the back and waited. After about an hour, I noticed a very specific red Mustang with a specific decal on the back window. It was her cousin by marriage. I had also done my due diligence to take an old laptop, which we kept on our desk in an office area with a full view of the living room, bedroom door, and bathroom, plus the kitchen. I had set it up for remote access and had it alert me when the webcam noticed the movement. Giving her the benefit of the doubt, I thought he might be dropping something off or coming over to assist her with something, as her family sometimes does. Sure enough, a message came through, so I remotely accessed my laptop. He walked through the door without skipping a beat. She unbuttoned his shirt and began kissing him. I created a URL link for the live stream, and as she was preoccupied, we had a family group text and a friend group text. They were both part of it, but at the current time, they were currently indisposed and didn't look at their phones. They didn't even wait. They could have gone to the bedroom, but no, they decided to get freaky deaky right there on the couch. I sent the link off to the friend group chat and the family group chat. Within minutes, I was getting calls non-stop from friends and family alike. There was no turning back. She was getting blown up, but she was ignoring her phone. Not until the 4th or 5th call came through did they decide to take a break. For context, the state I live in allows recording of personal property regardless of occupancy. I was the only one on the lease. She wasn't allowed to be on the lease because of poor credit. The call she picked up was from the mother of the cousin she was banging. She answered the phone on speaker and I kid you not, the first words out of his mother's mouth were, "Stop f***ing my son." They both became rigid and she began to stutter over her words, saying, "What are you talking about?" etc. The mother then divulged that there was a live feed of them sent out by me to her family. She grabbed every pillow off the couch and covered herself up. The cousin staggered off, trying to put on his pants and shoes, just to trip himself up and bang his head off of my coffee table, leaving it with a divot. By this time, I had made my way to the front of the apartment complex. I was there to greet the adulterer as he came out of the front exit. He froze and began to cry, apologizing profusely. I'm not going to lie, what happened afterward wasn't my best moment and I nearly got into legal trouble if it weren't for the fact that he was trespassing on private property. Let's just say I had a cast for 6 weeks and he wasn't in any family photos for months. I went up to the apartment where she was now fully clothed and crying inconsolably. I asked her if it was snot or on her face. Then I told her not to answer because it didn't matter anyway. I gave her 1 hour to remove all her belongings, as again, everything in the apartment was mine except for clothes, some makeup, and a few kitchen utensils. Her mother would not let her move in as she was just filled with embarrassment. The same for her brothers, and the cousin's mother kicked her son out. Rumors spread around our town very quickly, and for lack of better words, she was untouchable. One user named Apprehensive Fee 554 asked, "Dude, what happened next?" OP responded with, "She wouldn't give up a spare key. While I was at work one day, she tried to take my cat and get it euthanized. Luckily, the vet she brought it to checked it for a chip, which I'd gotten for her before we even started our relationship. The vet called me to confirm. I put a stop to it, but before he did anything, I asked the receptionist to confirm that it was a brunette woman with large boobs. She did. I explained the situation and what had happened. The receptionist, who is a low-key pothead, ran in the same circles as us, so I asked her to call her a cousin. That started a whole new can of worms, but eventually stopped with me threatening to file charges on theft of property and the vet threatening to have her arrested under cruelty to animals. This final story was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. It was created about a month ago and is titled, "My husband, 32M, is convinced I, 26F, am pregnant. I'm not, but he won't believe me. What do I do? I'm truly at a loss here. This situation has become worrying and I don't know what to do about it. For about a week, my husband has been convinced I'm pregnant. I have no idea why because I'm not. We haven't even started trying, although we do have plans for the future. We were just having a conversation, and yes, I did mention feeling tired, but that's all. A few hours later, he came in so excited. I told him I'm not pregnant, but he won't let it go. He has made remarks about how happy he is, what a wonderful mother I'll be, and what our baby will be like. Not all the time, but it has come up multiple times a day. I told him I'm not pregnant. I even took a test, because even I started wondering, and it was undoubtedly negative. I showed him, and he just got annoyed, saying tests can be wrong. He didn't speak to me for the rest of the evening. The next morning, he acted as if nothing had happened. When I tell him I'm not pregnant, he just kind of shuts me out. I lost my temper yesterday when we were in bed and he put his hand on my stomach. I told him he's acting crazy. I'm not pregnant and his behavior is scaring me. He went to sleep in the guest room after that and left for work early in the morning. I haven't seen or spoken to him today. I'm just at a loss. I don't know where this obsession is coming from. I even asked him if I had gained weight, if that's what's gotten him confused. He assured me I hadn't. I'm thinking of contacting his parents or maybe a therapist. I honestly don't understand what's happening and I'm worried about my husband. Edit. Thank you for all the replies. I didn't expect all this. It's been overwhelming and I'm incredibly grateful. He's asleep next to me right now and I keep going through all the comments. My husband is one of the kindest people I've ever met. I promise you all that he's not trying to manipulate me or would do anything to harm me, but that does make me believe something is really wrong. I'll contact my and his parents in the morning once he's left for work. Maybe I'll go stay with my mom for a bit, though I hate the idea of leaving him like this. I will also definitely make an appointment with my doctor for a blood test. Thank you for all the advice. User and KGH said, my guess is a psychotic break. Personally, I know someone who, after a stream of chaotic life events and mounting work stress, dealt with one. They were convinced that my youngest sister, a teenager single on birth control and very open about being celibate, was pregnant. For a few days, she sent messages to everyone saying that my younger sister was pregnant and that she couldn't wait to be a future auntie. When people rejected her claim, she got angry and her delusions began to be targeted at those individuals. Those who challenged her beliefs were immediately met with deep suspicion and hostility. She claimed that so-and-so planted spyware on my phone or whatever else. He needs help. It could also be an underlying medical issue triggering this episode. If he has, for instance, low potassium, it can make the issue worse. User Storm's Way said, honestly, this is the kind of delusion that could easily lead to him becoming violent. I don't know if he will, and I'm so sorry this is happening to you, but I think that your number one priority needs to be getting out. This isn't a talk to him situation. This isn't a work it out situation. This is quite literally a run for your life and get someone else to help him afterward kind of a situation. I do not think it is an overreaction to move out with zero prior warning and not tell him where you're going. Then after you're out, call his parents and tell them what's going on. I know you're probably thinking your husband wouldn't do anything like that. He's not violent. He wouldn't hurt you. There are two possibilities here. He is either experiencing psychosis/delusions or he isn't. If he is experiencing psychosis, then this is not your husband. This is some rogue part of his mind that is taking over. His perception of reality is quite literally wrong, and there is no amount of love or care for you that is enough to overcome the fact that what he sees in the world is not what is real. The second possibility is that he's not experiencing any form of psychosis/delusions. This is honestly the scarier possibility in my eyes because that means he's intentionally trying to manipulate you, probably in order to control you and prevent you from leaving, and he may possibly forcibly try to impregnate you. User Obvious Throwaway said, to me, this sounds pretty ominous. I'll tell you why, but I'm going to explain my own background first. I have multiple degrees with a medical and psychology background, and I have written a bit about wartime psychology, prisoners of war, and brainwashing. So yes, this may sound extreme, but there's something about this that genuinely horrifies me. A conditioning tactic to educate prisoners of war is that you insist on an event. Naturally, they're going to be like, WTF, that didn't happen. So you take something away, insist again, take it away, insist again, take it away, etc. Eventually, the prisoner of war is going to be missing so much that they will eventually be like, fine, whatever, and then you give them something, then you insist on something else, etc. Basically, what occurs in this scenario of repeatedly removing and giving quality of life things like comfort, food, and stability is that in the long term, it 1. Trains the person to view the person with the accusations as a key to survival, and 2. It trains the victim to believe anything the individual accuses them of. The reason this only works in wartime circumstances for prisoners is because the prisoner has no choice but to endure it. They can't just leave. So the reason this disturbs me is because his behavior knowingly or unknowingly follows this pattern. He says, "You're pregnant," insists on it, and then diminishes happiness. He comes back saying, "You're pregnant again. You show the test." Now, he not only withdraws happiness, but alienates you by moving to another room and taking away feelings of belonging in your own house. Now, he takes his presence away, leaving you alone in your house as a stranger. Yet if you were to say, "Okay, I am pregnant," suddenly all of that would return. So he insists you're pregnant, takes something away, and gives you time to think, then tries again. You say no, more is taken away, and more time. Okay, are you going to play along now? The only difference is you are able to leave at any time, but it is actually concerning that if this is a deliberate tactic, it's because he's decided that you actually cannot and are not going anywhere. There's something really wrong here in my opinion, not trying to scare you, but either this is on purpose or he has lost a grip on reality, and neither is safe for you to be around right now. Edit. I am no longer discussing my credentials. You can say I work for McDonald's. Believe me, I don't actually mind. Sorry, OP, for the long chatter on your thread. If you would like to discuss in messages, argue, or whatever, please send me one, no problem. User Maleficent Bottle 674 said, "Contact his parents because considering the whole abortion debacle, I honestly think he's trying to set you up for a criminal sentencing. I've known several women who were set up by their boyfriends under the accusation of having an abortion when they weren't even pregnant. One lady had to reveal that she had a hysterectomy, so she couldn't even get pregnant. You need to see who else he's spreading this to. The best case scenario is that he is mentally ill and incapable of accepting reality, such as when he denied the pregnancy test." A few days later, OP gave us an update. "Hi everyone, I hope it's okay to post this update. I really appreciate everyone asking if I'm safe, and I am. I wish I could give clear answers, but I can't. Things escalated when I tried to speak to him, keeping some of your advice in mind. I sat him down and explained that I'd love to have kids with him in the future, but that I'm not pregnant right now, and that his insistence worries and scares me. I told him we could go to the doctor together if that would put his mind at ease, or I could take another test in front of him. I was just hoping to snap him out of it somehow. He got very agitated, said many hurtful things, and accused me of being a liar many times, saying that I'm trying to keep our baby away from him, and so on. Nothing made sense, and I wasn't feeling safe anymore. I knew my husband would never harm me in any way, but that wasn't my husband. Things got worse. He did hurt me, but nothing permanent or even requiring emergency care. I also know that if he was in his right mind, he never would have done anything like this. I called my and his parents, and I'm now staying with my mom. He did seem to calm down a bit when his parents arrived. I haven't seen or spoken to him since then. His mother, she's an angel, is keeping me posted about everything. We all agree something is very off about him, and we don't know what it is, but he hasn't agreed to get himself checked out in any way. I don't know how they'll go about it, but they say, and I painfully have to agree, that it's best to keep my distance for a bit as most of it is aimed at me. I'm safe and so is he. I miss him so much and just want an answer as to why he's being like this. I keep trying to figure out if there were signs before or what I did wrong. Thank you all for the replies, that they were a great help. It's so kind of you to care to ask if I'm safe." About another week after the second post, OP gave us yet another update. I don't know if anyone will see this here, but you've all been so kind to keep asking whether or not we're okay. I hope I'll reach you like this. I'm going to keep this short. My husband has a brain tumor. A lot of people commented on this, and I feel an immense amount of guilt that I hadn't considered it until then. All the headaches and other symptoms, in hindsight, we had previously dismissed because of his stressful work situation and so on. I am beating myself up for not having seen it before. A wonderful team of neurosurgeons, oncologists, and other physicians is figuring out the best approach here, if there is one. We'll hear more in the next few days. I've spent more time with my husband. Some moments he's his amazing self, other times he's filled with anger. It's difficult, but we're managing. I wouldn't have been able to do it without the support of our friends and family. I love my husband. This situation is terrifying. In moments of clarity, he's trying to make me laugh so I don't worry. That's who he is. Thank you everyone for pushing me to get him checked out. User Chain Link Fence said, I hope that you guys can make it through this. Don't beat yourself up about it. Although it is common on Reddit to classify every psychotic break as a brain tumor, none of us expect it to actually happen to people in our lives. Take care of yourself. This will be tough, but it's good you found some answers. You're in my thoughts. User DoxinMom5 said, I am so sorry for you both. Don't beat yourself up. Some things just aren't clear symptoms until after the diagnosis, especially things like headaches. A headache is so common and can be caused by so many things. Hopefully, good treatment makes all the difference. I will caution you to have someone stay with you whenever he's initially discharged. Since you were the target of so much of his upset, you need to be careful. My family has been through brain tumors and sometimes surgery and treatment are a miracle. Sometimes the tumor has done damage that can't be reversed with surgery and chemo. For his and your own safety, just be careful until everyone is sure what was temporary versus what is permanent. I'm sure his care team will give you way more specific to him information. That's just my word of caution. User RedsRach said, I'm so sorry, lovely. Please don't be hard on yourself. We all chalk these changes up to stress, etc. I see so many posts on here with changes like this, and people suggest brain tumors, and of course, it isn't because they are rare. I'm only saying that to illustrate that most of the time, symptoms like this are correctly ascribed to stress. You must be feeling a complex mix of emotions right now. I hope your husband will be okay, and I wish you courage and strength on this journey together. User ElectroLightBuzz said, I followed your first posts. Thank you for the update. I truly hope the great staff assisting him will make him go through this, and who knows, maybe one day you will be able to laugh about the days when he was convinced of having a non-existent baby on their way. And don't beat yourself up. The symptoms could also be something else. And if we jump to being convinced of a tumor for any symptom, we'd all die from anxiety. You process things in the most natural way. Good luck to you all. I really hope to read another update from you with great news.